Today, Celina is here with me to be interviewed. Celina, you have a bevy of skill sets. You're rather efficient, exceptionally creative, quite good at improv, and you are rather business-minded. So, in your own words, can you tell us who is Celina?
Oh gosh, who is Celina? Celina is... yes, I identify with all of the things you said. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I just want to make people laugh. I love bringing people together. Celina is someone who loves being social. I love being spontaneous. You're going to edit out the parts in between where I have no idea what the hell to say, right?
Depends. Sometimes they add impact.
Sometimes they do add impact, yeah. Yeah, and I was thinking about this question a lot.
It's a tough question.
It is a tough question, yeah, it is. Do you really ever know yourself kind of type thing? I didn't expect for it to be so existential feeling, but I do recall Ash having a similar reaction. I think it's very common. Yeah, Celina is someone who I love to laugh. I love to bring people together. I love to be social. I love to be spontaneous. I love organizing events and working with people. I think that that's a skill that I have and that I'm very proud of.
If you wanted to work with someone, how would you then answer that question?
If I wanted to work with someone, like if it was a prospect, sponsor or employer or something, and they asked me like, who's Celina?
Right.
That kind of type thing, how would I answer it? I would say I'm someone who's reliable, who's creative, who can take criticism. I feel like I'm able to sort of be very objective about situations, and I think that's very valuable when working with other people. Especially when you have a really good idea or you think you have a really good idea or something, and then, the people you're working with want to go in a different direction or something. You have to know how to not take that personally.
What if we then took that? Now let's frame that for people who don't know what it is you do.
Right. I'm a streamer. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a streamer, and it's funny because it took me a while to start saying that I was a streamer. I think
it's weird.
It is weird, isn't it? It is, yeah. It's something that still has a lot of, I don't know, weirdness around it, probably from a lack of understanding of what the job actually is. What the career path is, for sure. But for the longest time, I would refer to myself as a content creator. And I think it wasn't until a friend of mine pointed it out, and he was like, what do you, like, everyone is a content creator. Like, everyone creates content. Like, what do you mean? Right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody nowadays, especially,
writers,
right?
Artists, dancers.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
It's all content.
Totally. And so I was like, that is a really, really good point. And it was around the time when I was really starting to kind of try to establish a brand. And I was like, nope, you know what? That's a very good criticism. That's very good feedback. And so I've started framing myself and presenting myself in a way that's, I'm Celina. I'm a streamer who loves bringing people together. That's me in a nutshell.
Why did you decide to start streaming?
Oh gosh. I played Overwatch every day for like 4 hours. And it was great. It was a lot of fun. And I was just like, well, if I'm going to be playing games for hours every single day, I might as well try and see if I can stream it, if I can make something of it, see who comes by. I really had no idea what it was or that it was going to take off or become my career, I guess. But yeah, I was playing Overwatch with a friend who was super into making YouTube videos at the time and things like that. So I was introduced to that kind of like online live video aspect of things that I really wasn't aware of before. And that's it. The rest is history. I remember going live with like the same title every day, the same game, no camera, no plan, and I don't know, look at me now, like years later. It was a very interesting start. Yeah.
No camera, no plan,
Nope.
Same title every day. How well did that work out?
Not bad. Like there were a few people that came by during those days. Believe it or not, that's actually how Zach Bussey met me.
Wow.
He was, I don't know, lurking Overwatch streams or variety streams or something. And yeah, that is how we met, or at least that's how I met him on Twitch. I don't know if there was, any like Instagram following before that or anything like that. But no, I think that was it. Yeah, it kind of what kept me going is people would keep coming back. Like I would go live with this no camera, no title, like no unique title, no alerts, no nothing, and a few of the same people would keep showing up, and I was like, all right, yeah, this is really fun.
Why do you think that worked?
At the time, oh gosh, I'd have to check my stats and when exactly this was, but I feel like I want to say maybe like 2016 or 2017. I don't know. Maybe it was less competition, less saturation back then, right? I don't know. I feel like it's more difficult to do it now. Like if you get started now, not that that's exactly when I got started. Like that was my first time on Twitch. But then after that, I probably didn't stream for like 2 years or something. There was a gap if I check my Twitch tracker, and it took me a long time to like get back into it and start with another game and actually try to start taking it seriously. Yeah.
So you started out competitive FPS and gaming, and today,
I guess so, yeah.
today you still, I would say you primarily game, but it's not your entire focus. Why was it gaming for you? What did that for you that made you want to stream?
I think it ties in very nicely with what I love doing on the platform and with my spaces. And that's just that I love bringing people together and I love hanging out with them. And gaming is a way to do that. And taking it to the next level is streaming it on Twitch to an audience. And I was hoping to pick up more people that I could play with. I remember joining some Discord groups and trying to get very serious about my overwatching at the time. And I thought that Twitch would be a great catalyst for that, or a great avenue for that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you mentioned this a couple times already. So I'm curious. You mentioned bringing people together multiple times already. Why is that so important to you?
I think that this is going to sound so, I don't know, maybe way too deep than it needs to be, but I honestly think that's I know that's why we're here, right? Honestly, I think it's our life's purpose. I think it's what gives life meaning is relationships, friendships that you form with people in person, in online spaces. I just love doing it. I love doing it. And I think it's important for somebody, for everybody to have somebody. That's very, very important to me. And yeah, if I could provide a space where I can be that for people, or I can help people make connections with others, then life just feels worth living for me. Like it just fills me with a sense of purpose. I love it so much. Yeah.
Have you always done this? Have you always tried bringing people together, or was this something that you developed later in life?
That's a really good question. No, I think it's something that I probably developed later in life. Maybe it stemmed from, gosh, I don't know, memories are so fuzzy. Like maybe it stemmed from feeling left out oftentimes in my life, right? It happened often enough that I felt lonely or forgotten about or something like that. And too many times I was waiting for people to reach out to me or to invite me out or something like that. Like, this goes way back, and I'm not exactly sure exactly what it was, but I think I got to a point where I was like, if I want to be involved in things, and if I want to make sure that maybe other people don't feel the way that I did throughout aspects, different parts of my life, my childhood, my teenage years or whatever, then I want to be the one to make that happen. I almost want to say that again. I almost want to rephrase that. Like, I don't know. Was it clear? Did it make sense? Like, I think
it does.
It does. Yeah. Like, I think just enough times Was
there a specific moment that comes to mind while you were answering that question?
About not specifically about not feeling included or feeling forgotten about?
Yeah. Did something come to mind? Because it almost sounds like it's a formative memory.
Yeah, it does. I that's what I'm trying to think. I'm just like, does this go deeper than I think kind of type thing? But I don't remember. I mean, I think a lot of us have those moments where we were picked last for dodgeball or volleyball or something, like we've all had those moments in our life, but there wasn't anything in particular that really stands out, or, being the only kid out of my class that like didn't get an invite to this birthday party or something like that. Like I do remember that, but I don't think it was something that made me go, okay, when I grow up, I'm gonna make sure that this never happens, because this is a really bad feeling and I don't want anyone feeling left out in the way that I did. But I'm sure eventually it did become a thing that I realized I was really good at and that I really enjoyed doing. And the feedback was really positive, and people liked the things that I was organizing and putting together, and it just kind of spiraled from there. Yeah.
Well, let's look at that then, because I'm seeing that pattern too. You mentioned feedback.
Yeah.
Were there specific others that you noticed that you were doing this for, and how much it improved their lives?
I think so. Yeah. And I continue doing it in the present. I mean, at least I feel that way, and I currently receive that kind of feedback. I'm hoping it doesn't come off as like egotistical, like, yeah, I make people's lives better by bringing them together and making them feel included and stuff. 'Cause the intention is just to, I don't know, build a community, build something really special, right?
I think you've pulled that off.
Thank
judging
you.
by your levels of success on Twitch and other spots.
Thank you. I'm trying to think if there were like specific people, but I think there's just so many people who have told me that they love what I do and that they love what I've done for them, and that I've impacted their life in such a positive way, or I've changed their life or something, which is the most emotional one to hear, because it's, I don't know, it's so meaningful, it's so beautiful, it's so special that any one person can have that effect on essentially someone who started off as a random stranger on the internet, right?
Okay. It sounds like you almost are having a cumulative effect on a lot of people, and it just kind of it adds up feedback wise. And
Yeah.
brings that fulfillment to you. Does that sound about right?
It does. Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because at the same time, it's not like I expect it to. I think that's a big part of what keeps me going and maybe why I've been so successful in my own way is that I take the wins and I take the positives and I take the good moments and I don't let the bad moments weigh me down. So if I wasn't getting feedback from community or from people who are telling me that I'm positively impacting them or something, I really truly would like to believe that I still would be doing exactly what I'm doing, because so much of it is for myself too. I love doing it. I love being a host. I love having, before COVID, I loved having people over my place and hosting them for dinner and pizza making and burger making and whatever the heck else I got up to. I was always like putting together my own birthday parties and stuff. I just loved being like in charge. And anytime anyone visits British Columbia, I love being a tour guide in my own city. Like I just love it. It brings me so much joy too.
Do you crave the attention that it brings you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure in a way, yeah, definitely. It feels good. I probably, I don't know if it's too bold to say that like a lot of streamers probably do really enjoy that aspect of it, right? Like it's really nice to put something, so. Right? Like it's really nice to put something out there and have it be well received, right? But I think also an important part of what I'm saying is like, that's not, like I really would like to believe, and of course I can't possibly know this without experiencing that timeline, that reality, right? But like I would really, really like to believe that I would still be doing it, even if it was just, to like a tiny group of people or something, or because I just like it. I like hanging out with people and I like making them laugh, and yeah.
Is it like a form of creation for you?
It is, yeah. In a way, I wonder if that's almost exactly it. It is creating moments, creating inside jokes, creating memories. That's a big part of it for me, for sure. Yeah, and it keeps me going, definitely.
And you have a past of being creative before Twitch and content creation, right?
Content creation. Yeah, I know. It's so fun. I'm so aware of that now. Anytime someone says they're a content creator, I'm like, okay, but what is it exactly?
What other forms of creation have you taken up in the past?
In 2015, I started playing around with melty beads, like fuse beads. Perler beads. Yeah, but the brand that I was using was Hamma, but nobody really is familiar with Hamma. But Perler is a brand, but they're like the fuse beads where, you could create pixelated creations on a pegboard, right? Is that little chocobo? Is that a Perler creation on your microphone? Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Yeah. And so that's when that creative aspect of me started, I guess, the like arts and crafts one. And so my time before Twitch, I'm trying to think of how to word this. Hold on. Before I started on Twitch, I started on Instagram and on Etsy, trying to sell these creations, trying to connect with the community. So that's an interesting aspect of it too. This is so funny. It's like going to segue into it. My initial intention with going on Instagram was to sell my creations, my Hamma bead creations, right? And what ended up happening was I ended up meeting just the most like spectacular perler bead community, like fuse bead community. And I had no idea that there were so many other people out there who also made these fuse bead creations, and I had no idea of how large and like intricate and like three-dimensional some of these things were. And all of it was based around gaming culture and like nerd culture and stuff. And that definitely also helped get me into Twitch and get me more into gaming, because gaming wasn't like a huge part of my life growing up. I had a Game Boy, I had a Nintendo, I had a few games on it, and then nothing until like a PlayStation 3 in high school kind of type thing. So I think it wasn't until I graduated university, I guess, that I got into making these things, because I was always into like the nerd culture, but never really like, I don't know, so many of the games specifically. I think that's why a lot of people enjoy my first playthroughs of like classics, because they're like, I can't believe she's a grown adult and she's never played, Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask or something. And that's also a really special thing to have experience with the community for sure.
But, it's interesting you brought that up, because that was going to be my next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How you got into it,
How I got into the perler beads.
And to Twitch.
And to Twitch, right. Yes. Yeah. Definitely the playing Overwatch for 4 hours a day and being like, I should try to stream this. And knowing someone who already did some of that and who was posting on YouTube and stuff. And so receiving encouragement and tips from them obviously was super helpful. And yeah, I definitely think that to tie in like what I did on Etsy and Instagram with the hammer bead creations, it definitely helped, I think, get my name out there even before I started streaming. Like some of my first customers on my Etsy shop were Twitch streamers. And at the time I wasn't streaming on Twitch at all, but I remember like popping into their streams and they'd be wearing my earrings or they'd be wearing my necklaces. And so they'd be like, oh, that's Celina. Like that's, she made what I'm wearing. And like at the time I didn't have really anything of an account. I wasn't really streaming, but it was nice to kind of like get my foot in the door. Not that that was the intention. I think that's the really crazy part is that wasn't the intention at all. Like I started off with wanting to sell these creations, and then I met this amazing community, and then I started getting into Overwatch, and then I was like, oh, here's Twitch, and I already have this, this community and like this following, and that's when I started converting my Instagram over to like, be more Twitch focused and moving away from the hammer beads, because I don't do them anymore. I had to shut down the shop a couple years ago just because it was too much. It's because it was too much, and I started focusing on streaming, but it was a lot of fun while it lasted.
So you said you noticed people on stream wearing effectively your products.
Yeah.
So in essence, you recognized how powerful streaming is as marketing.
Yes. Yeah. That was very cool.
Can you explain to us like how effective that is and how effective it was for you, and through your observations of streaming and seeing others, like how powerful that is?
Oh my gosh, it was so effective and powerful. I think word of mouth is like one of the best ways to grow yourself, to promote yourself. And that was just so wonderful. I didn't even expect the shout outs when I came by. Like I was just so happy that this streamer was wearing my jewelry, and they were just so excited to see me, and they ended up talking about me and stuff. And yeah, I think it's incredibly powerful. Mm-hmm.
So previously you mentioned to me, and I believe you probably said this during your streams as well, that you were a theater kid.
Yes.
How did that experience affect your career as a streamer?
When I was in drama, in theater and film, I can say that I certainly didn't think it would have any... I certainly didn't think that it would... I don't know, that I would be a Twitch streamer, that I would be doing this. So it definitely wasn't even, I didn't even think I knew it was a thing when I first got into theater. I just did it because I loved it. But to answer your question, I think it's helped immensely. I am confident. I'm quick-witted. I don't know. I think I'm really good at improv and like riffing off of things that kind of get thrown at me in chat, or I'm really comfortable with a lot of situations that are thrown at me, which is essentially like sometimes chat feels that way, right? Like the live streams kind of feel that way. It's just like sometimes feels like a classroom of like a ton of people, and they're just, you know, their hands are up in the air and they're randomly talking about things. And I certainly think it takes skills to be able to navigate that and to still make it sound like a interesting, cohesive conversation. So yeah, it's definitely helped in just my confidence and my, I don't know, ability to talk to a crowd, public speaking skills. Imagine fumbling over. It was funny. Somebody said that once during a stream. They said, "Celina, you speak so fast and flawlessly." And I read it out loud. And I said, "Celina, you speak so fast and flawlessly." And I just laughed so freaking hard because I just like the irony of messing up and saying fast and flawlessly. I think about it to this day. But yeah, I certainly think it's helped. I certainly think it's helped a lot.
So real fast.
Real fast, never making any mistakes. Never. Mm-hmm.
Never.
Yeah,
good.
Exactly. Yeah. But I truly think that it's so powerful and it's been so helpful for me that it would honestly be the thing that I would recommend to anyone if they're looking to start streaming or doing any kind of performing or entertaining or something like that, is just take a drama class, take an improv class, watch some YouTube videos on how to be an effective, funny, interesting public speaker. Like, it's just, I think it's been very, very helpful for me.
How would people go about finding things like that?
Oh gosh. I mean, YouTube is, YouTube search, type in what you want in the search bar. I think at least in British Columbia here, you can look up like local improv groups. You can go to comedy shows as well. Like maybe if you're not feeling quite ready to participate in things yourself because you're really, really not there, you really don't have that confidence, then just attending the comedy shows, attending the improv shows, or even practicing. I did this for a tabletop RPG that I was a part of. I was part of Vampire the Masquerade, and it was my first time doing something like that on Twitch. And the way that I practiced was by putting on like finding another campaign on YouTube and pausing it, like playing it, and then when the narrator said something, like when the what are they called in Vampire the Masquerade? Oh my god, it's been so long since I've done the campaign. The storyteller, yeah. Right? So, and I would practice by pretending that the storyteller was talking to me. So I would like pause the video and respond as though I was like in that campaign. So I think that that's really effective as well. Practicing that way. Yeah.
It's interesting you bring that up because that's often a technique taught and employed by sports broadcasters.
Is it really? I had no idea. I was sitting at home like a couple nights before the campaign was going to start, and I was like, I'm so nervous. I don't know how to practice. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to play a YouTube video and I'm going to pause and I'm going to answer and pretend that I'm in this. And it helped immensely. So that's really cool. How do they use it in sports broadcasting?
They watch recordings of old games and pretend they're doing the play-by-play for it or color commentary.
Genius. I love it.
It's good practice because it keeps you in the moment. It keeps you locked in, moving quickly.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome.
So you mentioned like improv and public speaking and all that. What skills do you think would be needed or useful to develop for someone who wants to succeed as a live streamer?
Oh gosh. Those are important ones. I think the ability to problem solve is very important because you're going to run into a lot of problems with anything, with everything, whether it's tech or, communicating with sponsors or, I don't know, just games not going the way that you think that they're going to go, or things with community management, community moderation. Like you're going to run into a lot of problems, and you should know how to work through those problems. And I think one of the best ways to learn is to experience it, is to go through it.
So problem solving is a pretty important skill to have. What others come to mind that you think should be fostered to be successful?
Having an open mind, being understanding.
Give us an example of what that looks like.
Like maybe someone comes into chat and they say something that is uncomfortable, or you can tell they're not really reading the room or something like that. I think depending on, mood or experience of the streamer or something like that can be handled either really well or poorly. And I think if you have an understanding that people are just people, they're going to do their stuff. They're going to say their stuff. And of course it's your space and you absolutely get to decide how you deal with that. And you dictate the vibe and everything like that. But yeah, I think just being open-minded and understanding. Also setting boundaries, I think, is a very important skill. I don't know if that made sense. I hope it did.
Well, you touched on two things that are, in my opinion, really important to a successful community, let alone a live stream. You talked about dictation of vibe and boundaries.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Was enforcing your own boundaries ever a problem for you initially in live streaming?
I think initially, yeah. Especially watching I can especially see it when I watch old VODs back from even a year ago, 2 years ago. I was definitely more timid and, everybody's having fun. And so you don't want to be the person who's like, hey, this just went too far, or like, I'm feeling uncomfortable, because then you start to think, well, is it just me being too sensitive? Maybe I don't get the joke that's happening or something like that. And I'm definitely much better at kind of calling the crap out right now, it just takes experience. It takes experience and it takes a lot of practice. And it also takes a lot of support, because when I did start calling out stuff and asserting boundaries, it was just really, really, really well received. And I think it's because people need to be reminded that when someone asserts a boundary, it's not them trying to push you away. It's them trying to keep you in their life, right? So I think just reminding people of that, like, hey, I'm letting you know that this went too far. I'm uncomfortable with this topic, or I'm uncomfortable when this happens, or something. That's me trying to effectively communicate with you, with the audience, that, hey, I want to keep doing what I'm doing and I want to keep you around, but we can't just be doing this particular thing anymore, or something, if that makes sense.
What would you tell new streamers who struggle with that?
Gosh, do it as early as possible. Identify it within yourself and do it as early as possible. I think it's very, very important, because it gets more difficult, especially as the bigger you get, the more people that you get. If that's sort of like the vibe that you've established, and sort of like the things that you've let people do and get away with, and so that's going to like attract more of those people. And like for me, for example, I needed to assert a boundary, which is this is in my Discord, but talk about it on stream as well fairly often. But I needed to assert a boundary. I think it was probably like a year or so ago, about the heckling culture on Twitch. I am so not even just on Twitch. I think so many people in real life have this like, let's just like make fun of each other, and that's how we show each other that we love each other kind of type friendships. And that's okay if both people are comfortable and they consent. But I think it was going so far it was going like so far for me in a direction that I felt like I was losing control of. And I was like, okay, everyone, listen, there's one of you, or sorry, one of me, excuse me. Listen, everyone, there's one of me and sometimes hundreds of you. And so it hurts. It hurts. I'm just a person here at the end of the day. Got tired of the same jokes over and over again. And man, I was just getting so sick of the heckling culture. Like, it makes me so uncomfortable to go to another stream and just have the community or the mods just beaten on the streamer. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It makes me so uncomfortable. And so once again, if that's something that you like and that's your culture and that's your vibe and that's a boundary that you're okay, that's not something that's too far for you, then that's fine. But for me, it was very important to come out and say that. And everyone was so understanding and so respectful. And yeah, it was great. Highly recommend setting your boundaries, and being clear about them, and also understanding and realizing that they can change over time and it's totally okay. Yeah.
What did you gain and lose from doing that?
I gained even more confidence. I gained, I think, healthier and stronger relationships with many people from the community. I hope that I gained people's respect. I remember talking to a lot of streamers around the time that I was going to share this publicly and assert this boundary publicly, and I actually introduced a safe word just in case things go too far on stream. Like, I'm very sarcastic. I'm an improv theater performative kid, through and through. So people can't even tell when I'm just like, hey, drop it, like, stop it, right? So I needed to come up with a word that was like, okay, this is my word, and I haven't had to use it that much, so that's good. That's really good.
But grapefruit, was it?
Grapefruit, yeah, that's it.
I remember that conversation.
For some reason, yeah, you remember the conversation. It was so well received, and people came in and they were so supportive and they were so wonderful. And yeah, like, streamers that I talked to around that time, it was just, they supported me so much, and I think I earned the respect of my peers and of people from the community and stuff, because I think there were people in the community that also thought it went too far, but were maybe too intimidated to say something, because they were like, well, if she's okay with this, then maybe I should be okay with it too. But yeah.
There's that mentality, who am I to tell the streamer how to run their stream?
Exactly. Yeah. But turns out that some of the heckling made people uncomfortable too. And it was good that I said something. And as for what did I lose? Honestly, nothing. You know what? I lost people because I banned this word in my channel. Like, people no longer say like skill issue, get good, things like that. Like, I get it's a joke, but also, can we come up with new content, please? Like, I just got so So what did I lose? I lose people saying things in my chat that I didn't want them saying anyways. So yeah.
So you lost nothing of value.
Nothing of value, essentially. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't notice any difference in like viewership or people who were just like, if I can't make fun of you, then I'm out of here. Like, nobody. Everybody was just like, cool, awesome, thank you. Sounds very healthy. It was really well received. Yeah.
There's one thing I've noticed is that when we enforce boundaries like that and people don't like it to the degree that they leave, they're doing us a favor.
Yes.
Because they're expressing very loudly the idea that they're going to be a problem if this continues.
Yeah.
So have you ever had incidences like that, like, really impact your career stream in a bad way, or has it always been positive?
No, it's really always been positive. I've definitely had things like that happen before, where you call someone out on something that happens, or you just say, hey, this was really uncomfortable and please don't do it again. And once again, expressing a boundary it's my way of trying to keep you in my life, like in my streams. It's not a way for me to embarrass you and push you out or something. Like, I'm trying to tell you what I don't like so that you don't do it again, so we can continue hanging out and interacting in the same space kind of type thing. But yeah, I don't remember a time when it was like something really, really bad happened as a result of asserting a boundary. Luckily, we all get those people who, yeah, they're just like, I'm out of here. You're way too sensitive, right? They try to turn it around on you. They're like, God, it was just a joke. And I'm like, look, I get it. I get it. But I'm telling you that it wasn't funny or it wasn't cool for me or something, you know? Yeah.
Let's switch back to creativity. You're rather well known on Twitch for your creative and often quote unquote cursed alerts and interactive elements in your stream.
Yes, thank you.
So what is like the wellspring or process you draw these kinds of inspirations and ideas from?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, my cursed mind, honestly. Like it's the amazing people that I work with who help bring them to life. I Lotus is freaking amazing. I know you've worked with him as well. He's absolutely fantastic.
And what does he do for you?
Animations and art. Yeah, Discord banners, emotes, things like that. I work with a lot of artists. Like Shervik also does, my YouTube side and promos and overlays and things like that, and some alerts as well. But yeah, just I think working with the right people who you're able to kind of like bounce those ideas off of. But in terms of like, gosh, the process or like where it comes from, I think I just consume a lot of media. I consume a lot of media with the intention of trying to pull ideas from it. Like I of course I'm guilty of mindlessly consuming media as well, but for the most part, I think when I sit down to watch something, and I don't know if it's just because I have that kind of that like business mind on me now, or it's very like Twitch focused or something, but when I sit down to consume something, it's often with the intention of, okay, how can I bring this into my community, put my Celina twist on it? How can I get my artists to work on something like this for me? Yeah. That's pretty much it.
What kind of media do you consume?
Movies, TV shows, like cartoons, TikTok, YouTube, things like that. Short form stuff, long form stuff. I think a lot of it I get from like cartoons that I watch.
Cartoons is a big one?
Yeah, cartoons. Yeah, definitely. Like Simpsons type stuff. Yeah. They're just, I love the humor in it, or anything that like is, Seth MacFarlane does, Family Guy kind of type thing. American Dad is one of my favorite shows. Their humor is so absurd. I love it so much. Yeah.
Do you have a process? Because you said you specifically watch these with the intent to get inspiration and ideas, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your process there? How does that look to an outside observer?
I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch a show, and I'm going to have a notebook next to me, or my cell phone, my smartphone notepad, or keep notes, or wherever I put stuff. And then I review it, and I go through stuff that I liked and didn't like, and see if I can add any of it to stream, or even just if I don't end up adding it as like an element, I will remember funny things that are said, and I don't know, see if I can like work that wit and those jokes into stream. And like I think if you watch often enough, you'll hear me say at least once, like in a week or something, I'll be like, I stole that from Seth MacFarlane. And like everyone loves it. Everyone just like, because of like all the media that I consume, and I just try to like bring it into the streams to make people laugh and stuff with a Celina spin on it,
Is this something you do on a schedule? Do you just try to find time to do it? Like, how does that work? How do you find the time to do this?
Yeah, it's very spontaneous. It's very spontaneous. And I think at this point I have so many ideas, and I've consumed so many cartoons and like so much content that I don't really go out of my way to do it anymore. It's just kind of automatic. Like when it does happen, when I do sit down and I am watching a movie, I'm like, this would be like so great to bring to stream. This is such a funny aspect. Whose Line Is It Anyway is another great one that I like to watch. And I love the gamification I think I have that a lot in my streams, so that's also something that I get inspiration from for sure.
So other than Who's Line and the others you mentioned,
Yeah.
were there others that are big inspirations for you?
Bob's Burgers. I love the humor on there, just like the dry ridiculous humor. I love like Office and Community and Parks and Rec. Those aren't cartoons, but it's very much the same kind of like humor that I try to go for. It makes me laugh. So I figure if it makes me laugh, it makes a ton of other people laugh. Then let's bring it to stream and see what happens, kind of type thing. Yeah.
It's a very clear pattern in literally everything you just named.
Yeah, and what's that?
Satire.
Yes, those shows do that very, very well. Yeah, sometimes they're too edgy, but you know, you gotta Celina-fy it and keep things to levels that you're comfortable with, obviously. But yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. I never thought about that. I guess I'm really into that kind of humor. Yeah.
Do you use satire as a vehicle for maybe self-irreverence or reverence towards other elements of streaming itself, or do you apply it elsewhere?
What does that mean?
Which specifically?
The whole thing. Satire, self-reverence, things like that.
Irreverence.
Irreverence, yes, please.
So it's effectively being quote-unquote disrespectful or mocking or antagonistic against something that's sacred. You're irreverent versus being reverent towards it would be the opposite.
I don't see. And then like you say that and I'm just like, I really don't do that at all. Like that's because I just brought up the thing about like, you know, I don't like the heckling culture. Right. So yeah, I don't know.
It's not malicious if that's where you're looking.
Yeah. It's definitely not malicious. And I don't try to like intentionally mock big serious things, right? Like that's definitely not what I'm about. No.
Well, I mean, the word sacred is maybe a little heavy for it.
Right.
But like at least from my viewpoint, correct me if I'm wrong, you are extremely irreverent towards the experience of the stream itself and yourself, but in a playful way. You have alerts that are like intentionally designed to amusingly embarrass yourself.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think I just don't know what the definition of irreverent is, so I'm getting tripped up.
It's all right. Maybe I don't either. So let's go back to that.
Look it up.
How is it that you're able to be so confident and also, you know, convey this in a way that's so funny to everyone?
That's a good question. How am I able to be so confident and what? Convey what? Sorry, one more time.
Convey this in a way that's funny and fun to everyone else, because it could easily cross over to that line of heckling and almost self-deprecation.
Right, yeah, because I don't really try to do that either. I think the key is just not taking yourself very seriously. And I think that's what people really like about me. That's certainly what I like about myself. I'm very perfectionistic about a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I don't know, I take what I do very like I take the job, I take the profession very seriously, and I put a lot of time and effort into it. But the streams are fun. Like I'm fun, right? Like I want the community to have fun. And so, yeah, I think that probably has a lot to do with it. Just not taking things so seriously, not being so uptight, which once again, that's going to be a personal thing. Personal preference, right? How you want to run your streams. Yeah.
How would you recommend to people who struggle with that? How would you recommend they work past that, like, to try and maybe lift their own environment up in the way that you do?
Learn to laugh at yourself, probably. Yeah, it's interesting how this crosses into the, you know, you don't want other people heckling you. I think that is an important part of like asserting that boundary though. Like it's okay when I make the joke and I'm in control of it and I'm, you know, maybe not taking myself seriously or I'm making light of something or whatever. But then when other people get a hold of it and they try to make the joke back at me or bring it up later, like hours later or days later or something, it's like, it's that's where it crosses a boundary. But yeah, just learn how to laugh at yourself. Learn how to be okay with, I don't know, exactly who you are. Nobody really has it all figured out, so might as well have fun while you're trying to do it, right?
Would you say your stream is like satire on like Twitch and streamers itself?
What does satire exactly mean?
Satire is a way to, I suppose, again, we use the word mock, but not in a malicious way.
Right, I'm
mock
trying to
something in a very exaggerated way. All those shows you mentioned do all of those. Just think of your favorite characters in their shows. And there's always some kind of character there that's just like dialed up to 11.
Yeah. I don't know if it's, yeah, I don't know if it's like a satire on streamers or other streams in general. I think I just try to do my own thing. Like I'm not even like thinking about, I don't know, I was going to say I'm not really like thinking about other people when I'm doing it, but obviously that's wrong and I don't want it to sound bad or anything, but I don't know, I'm kind of just doing what I want to do and I'm having fun with it, you know?
Not specific individuals, but streaming itself. So
streaming itself, yeah, maybe a bit. Yeah, I definitely don't want it to sound here. Then I have to look up the definition now.
To paint a picture,
satire.
Most people on Twitch will have an alert, right? Oh,
right.
Follow, and a little like animation or image will pop up, no sound effect, right? Or if you're monetized, maybe someone subscribes, right? And then you get that happening. But in your channel, when people do that, there's just like explosions of chaos. You have like a naked Kirby like scraping his butt across the screen and
right, yeah. It's a little
like to me
level.
That reeks of satire of streaming and alerts itself.
Yeah, okay, I could see the satirical nature of that. Yeah, certainly. The use of humor, irony, and exaggeration. Okay, yeah, definitely. Yeah. For sure. Or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that second part you're doing,
if it's
but there's
that,
definitely heavy satire like involvement. Because I feel like satire doesn't necessarily have to be that latter part.
It doesn't. No, that's the definition specifically says or. It's like the use of humor, irony, or exaggeration. Then yes, I would definitely say I do that a lot. I definitely do that a lot, yeah. And it makes sense if a lot of the shows I watch have that in common, which I didn't even realize, but yeah.
It sounds like you've taken a lot of inspiration from them and very successfully so.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, it's hard to like reinvent the wheel in a way, right? Like I think it's totally okay to gain inspiration from things that you really enjoy in your life and you want to see more of, and putting your own unique touch on it, putting your own Celina or Finamenon touch on it, right? Like, yeah.
Putting your own like unique touch,
yeah,
you know, and leading to that success. You mentioned earlier about gamification on your streams. What does that look like? How do you do that?
How do I do that? I try to think of things that I want to engage in and how I can bring that to my streams in a fun, interesting kind of way. And I guess one way of doing that is I've added a lot of alerts and interactions that work in tandem with each other. And so it involves a lot of timing, getting your timing right, or being fast enough, getting your timing right. Sometimes it involves multiple people from the community. So there's those aspects of it.
Give us an example of that, like those combinations and timing.
So for 300 bits, you can take a snapshot of me, and it shows up on screen in this like little Polaroid. And then once it's on screen for 90 seconds. And then anyone can cheer 50 bits to caption it. And so I think that's a great way to engage the community at large after a photo has been taken. So the 300 bits are cheered, the photo is taken, and then it's on screen, and then like anyone can cheer 50 bits and caption it. And often I'll end up getting like multiple captions, and they're all in a queue system. So they all like show up. They're there for a few seconds, then the next one shows up, then the next one shows up. And I think it's a great way to play on one thing, I guess. Like it's one snapshot, it's one pose. Usually it's me making a ridiculous face, and people are just like getting their hilarious captions out there that are attaching themselves to the little Polaroid. And then I upload them in the Discord after, and it's great.
How important do you think that kind of interactivity is to your success and the success of Twitch itself?
It's everything. It's super important to me. It's super important to the channel, to, oh gosh, like Twitch is a live streaming, low latency, community focused platform, right? Like if you're not utilizing all of these interactions and these different ways to engage your community, then I mean, who am I to say you're not using the platform properly? There are plenty of things that you can do on Twitch that don't involve that, but I think that you're not getting the most out of it as you can. Like I think you can be getting more out of it if you're not doing any of that. I would say it's very important. People want to feel like they're making a difference. People want to impact something that they're watching. It's like TV, but it's cooler because you actually get you get to have your moment. You get to have that thing pop up on screen. You get to get a reaction out of the streamer, out of the person like on the TV, which I think is just, it's so great. It's so much fun. I love doing it when I go to other people's streams, like half the time just to get a reaction out of them or to make chat laugh. Like the community is laughing when you play like a well-timed fart alert or something. Like I just think it's everything. I think it's everything. That's how inside jokes form. That's how memories form. That's how, I just love it. I think it's everything. Yeah.
It sounds like a good way to explain it to people who don't know what Twitch is.
Yeah, certainly. TV that you can interact with. Yep. Pretty much.
Have you ever had to have that conversation with people you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. I still don't think they quite understand. Twitch is very unique in that I think you have to come to it yourself and you have to understand it yourself. I don't think it's something that you can explain to someone and then bring them onto the platform and just expect them to get it. I think you have to find your way there yourself. Go ahead.
You have a pretty clear vision with your brand's look and the content you decide to work on. How do you make those decisions and stick to them so well?
Thank you. First of all, I really only got my brand established this past year, I would say, in 2023. I didn't used to have any colors or fonts or anything specifically that I used or any kind of way that I wanted to be presented across social media. And it's been really nice to have that and to have brand guidelines and have something that I have a way that I put content out there and that people see me. I don't remember the question. Sorry. Something about branding.
How do you stick so well to it?
How do I stick so well to it? That's a really good question. I think because at the end of the day, the brand is me. I am the brand. And I think this is why it took such a long time to come out with a brand, and why I initially had like an octopus mascot, which you'll still see. I still have in my emotes a little bit, but kind of moving away from that and realizing I don't want to be tied to like a creature or even like a logo or anything like that. And then, okay, well, if I'm not tied to those things, then what is it? What is Celina? Like, it goes back to the first question, right? Like, what exactly, how do you portray someone who's like, who likes to make people laugh, who likes to bring people together? Right? Who's excitable, who's spontaneous, who likes making people feel seen and heard? Like, how do you encapsulate that in like colors and a font and stuff? And gosh, that's why it took such a long time to figure it out. But I think how I'm able to stick with it, I mean, obviously I have brand guidelines, so it's very consistent. I give that to my artists to use. And I worked with a designer to get that done as well. I worked with Link. And I think at the end of the day, because the brand is me, it'll never really steer too far away from what people are used to. Because if I don't like it, then it doesn't go on Twitter. It doesn't go on Discord. If I don't like it, it doesn't feel like it's part of the brand. It's not me, you know? So
what are your brand guidelines, and how did you come up with them?
Brand guidelines would be like what colors to use, where, when, how big the font should be. There's like a main font, and then there's like a supporting font, and then there's like a third font that's used in like shorts or TikToks or things like that. You know, the spacing of it. Gosh, what like objects and elements get used around it. Things not to do, like, you know, don't add a drop shadow to the font or something like that, right? So I think just following those like specific things, those specific guidelines, as well as always making sure that it's something that I like and that fits with me, just makes it seem really cohesive. Yeah.
And what was your like? How would somebody who might be interested in following in that, you know, path, they want to come up with brand guidelines?
Right.
How would they come up with them? How did you, and how could they?
I worked with a designer, so I would recommend reaching out to a designer. Yeah, wherever you could find one. I'm not sure. Fiverr comes to mind, but I'm also sure that there's plenty of people on Twitter and within other online communities or Reddit or something. There's services, people you can hire, things like that. Yeah. Yeah, or you could try to do it yourself, depending on what your financial situation is like, right? But yeah, I knew that it was something that I needed to offload, because I'm also someone who's just like very indecisive. And so I really needed help kind of nailing that down. Otherwise, I was just going to spend forever picking a font or forever picking a color, and to just kind of have like put my trust and have someone else control the project. It was a lot better for me, for sure.
You mentioned you didn't want your brand tied to a creature. Why is that?
Because I wanted the brand to be me. And the octopus didn't really, I think it was great. I think it's great to start off like that. Like when you're looking for emotes, or kind of like your place online, or what profile picture you should use, or what elements you should use. Like, I'm all for themes. You'll notice that in a lot of my streams, I do a lot of themes. Any event that I do is very themed. I do monthly themes in my Discord to engage the community, things like that. So I think that was probably the easiest thing to lean into when starting out. Like, okay, I'm gonna maybe try to go for this like underwater kind of vibe theme, right? Like all of my panels are gonna be like bubbles and underwater. I'm gonna have some like sea creatures, and I'm gonna have this octopus, and he's gonna be like my main focus. And eventually I just started moving away from it. I wanted to have it be more focused on me and the content that I put out there and stuff, and not have to like rely on a theme for my brand as a whole.
How important do you think it is for your brand to be you versus something else?
Oh gosh.
Speaking to anyone who is interested in this career.
Speaking to anyone who is interested, oh gosh, I mean, it's not like I'm an expert on the topic. I really don't know. I need to see like the data on it, right? How many people are more successful if they lean into something else, some kind of a creature, some kind of a thing, or a theme, versus just doing whatever the heck they want to do. I certainly think it's less limiting to have yourself as the brand and do the things that you want to do, because if the brand changes, it's just you growing. It's just you adapting. It doesn't have to be this like massive overhaul, you know, or if you change your name or something and it used to be, I don't know, something space themed, for example, like let's say your username is space themed and everything is space, you know, and it kind of feels like I don't know. I didn't want to pigeonhole myself either. Right. I think that's a big part of it. Like, yeah, I think it's ultimately, I think it's important to be yourself and have the brand be yourself. Yeah. Keep it more open that way, I guess. That's at least what I felt.
Do you think that because you branded for yourself versus these themes, that it's given you more freedom to do whatever it is you want to do in streaming?
Definitely. Not that I think that an octopus mascot and an underwater theme was like holding me back, but there were definitely a lot of elements that I noticed I was adding to the stream that were themed around that or like tied to that, and I really just wanted to kind of loosen up from that a little bit, and so I think it's definitely helped with it. And people would also, another thing that would happen is people would come in a lot. And see, this is why I think it was really, really good starting out, at least for the time that I did and the experience that I had. People would come in and they'd ask questions about the octopus. It's a great way to engage people, right? You have this like adorable thing floating on your screen. You have these adorable or cursed emotes or whatever. It's a great way for people to come in and be like, hey, I love octopuses too. Like, but then people would come in and they would be like, oh, like, do you do marine biology? Like, do you do, you know, and it was, and I think just like having enough of that, which was great at the time. It was very engaging. No, I don't do marine biology. I just love octopuses. And then we would have like an octopus fact, like exclamation point fact or whatever. And it was, you know, but yeah, I think moving away from that overall was definitely the right thing to do for sure.
You have recently started branching out away from gaming content exclusively,
right?
On Twitch. You've been doing more what are called IRL streams, where you live stream from mobile devices in satellite locations, such as conventions or whatnot.
Right.
What do you think of the future of gaming content on Twitch with the rise of IRL content like this?
I think there will always be a place for gaming, just because I myself am trying to move away from it because I feel very burnt out on it lately. And I certainly don't think it'll be like I'm done with gaming forever kind of type thing. I love moving around and being outside. And kind of doing my own thing. In terms of if I think gaming will have a place on Twitch. Yeah, I think always. I think it's initially how it started, right? I think it was Justin TV that started as a way for friends to stream their games to their friends so that people could watch. Like, that's essentially it. I think that'll always be the foundation of Twitch. Yeah.
What has made you feel burnt out on gaming?
Gosh, I wish I knew exactly what it was, because then I would be able to problem solve that, right? If it's like a specific genre or if it's certain elements of games that I'm just kind of feeling over, but I don't know. I'm just really tired of like, go here, do this, upgrade this, kill this boss, try to kill this boss again because it's really hard. You know, go here, do this, fetch quest, talk to this NPC, things like that. And I'm just, maybe it's because there's so many games out there nowadays. Maybe I'm just so spoiled, or maybe some of the gems are hidden or something like that. I don't know. Or I've played a lot of the kind of the gems, and now it's a little bit more difficult for me to find something that like really hits. Like the last thing that really hit me, I just checked out the Harold Halibut demo which was just absolutely incredible. And I liked that specifically for the animation style and the storytelling and the voice acting and things like that. Apparently it's a game that took like 10 years to make, and I'm so excited to play it more. But before that, it was a couple months ago when I was playing Detroit Become Human. I think it was just the storytelling and how emotional I got. And before that, gosh, I don't remember. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm craving more like one-off indie games lately. Like horror games that take like one stream, or some quick indie game or something like that. Yeah, I think I'm just getting burnt out on especially the length of games. Maybe the games that I've been playing have been just a little bit too long for me. I also take a very long time to play games. Like I will go live and make like an hour of progress in like 6 hours kind of type thing. And maybe that's just starting to get to me.
What is your opinion on games that are quick versus long? For streaming specifically.
For streaming specifically, if you're playing a long game, you're certainly giving people more of an opportunity to find you. If you're streaming, into the Zelda category or something, you're going to have 5, 6, 7, 10 streams of it. Someone might not catch you on the first day, but they'll catch you on the second, the third, the fourth. They might catch you on the 10th kind of type thing. Whereas, so I definitely think like the funnel is bigger for people to come in. And the one-off indie games, I guess it's smaller, and there's smaller, shorter, and there's less time for the community to get to know you, like for the viewer to get to know you. So if someone comes in and finds you from a game category and the game is really short, they're really only going to have like those few hours to get a feel of what you're like and how you interact with the community and how you play games in general. So I definitely think there's a benefit to playing the long form games that bring people in for sure. But just in terms of where I'm at right now, specifically burnout on gaming, not streaming. Like I love streaming. I can stream every day for hours and talk at the camera. Like I'll never run out of things to talk about kind of type thing, or do IRL stuff. Like I'm so comfortable with that. But with gaming, I'm just, yeah. I don't know. We'll see where I'm at in a few months, I guess. I'm hoping it's a phase.
Do you feel trapped by gaming content?
Not really. I did I released an anonymous feedback form earlier this year, and actually very few people said that they would stop coming by if I stopped playing games entirely. There were people who said that gaming is a really important part of the channel for them. But in terms of people saying that they would stop watching entirely, which I completely understand. You only have time for so much. If you enjoy the gaming content, you're there for the gaming content, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, so I certainly don't feel trapped in that way. I suppose in terms of like sponsors and stuff, like I do get sponsored to play a lot of variety games, but I really don't. I don't think that I'll stop gaming entirely. Like I still think gaming will be a pretty important part of the channel. So no, I don't really feel trapped by it. No, yeah. Sorry, I just did the Canadian thing. No, and then I apologized for doing the Canadian thing. No, sorry.
So you don't feel trapped by it, but you have been pivoting away from doing it as often as you do. How do you pivot away from that and maintain your success?
God, you just do it. I think you have to kind of just do it and be open and honest with people, because at the end of the day, if you're forcing it, people will see right through that. And I think that's what was starting to happen. And I just effectively, I try to communicate as effectively as I possibly can with people why I'm not starting a game, or why I'm not playing a new game, or why I'm putting off a game or something like that. And yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. I did add a just gaming role in my Discord server, because for the people who do want to watch the gaming, I might not get to a game in a stream now. Like sometimes I've just been like just chatting the whole time or something like that. And so in consideration of those people, or for those people, I added the just gaming ping. So if I do start a game, I'll just ping the Discord and then the gaming peeps come over and stuff like that. So I think telling people and then slowly kind of making that transition. And yeah, like I said, I really don't think it'll ever be gone from my channel entirely. I mean, I'm not sure. We'll see what the future holds, but it's still very, very important to me.
Streaming IRL, which is what we just discussed, you're pivoting to. What would you tell people who want to start IRL streaming and don't have the same level of resources?
Oh gosh. Start small and be humble and just go live from your phone and see if you even like it. Probably get some kind of a selfie stick. Like, you don't even need a fancy gimbal like I have. Get some kind of a selfie stick, put your phone on it, understand the costs behind it. Things like that, like how much data you actually use when you're wandering around, and if that's reasonable for you and your current phone plan. And just see how you feel. See how you feel walking around basically talking to yourself holding a phone in front of you. Like, it definitely takes courage. It definitely takes courage. But otherwise, I love it. I've been having so much fun with it.
What kind of phone plan do you, like, data-wise, do you think would be necessary to make this feasible?
Oh my gosh, I definitely don't know enough. Honestly, I think I have unlimited data. I have unlimited data, and probably after like 25 or 30 gigs, they start to throttle it. But it is like unlimited, or that's what they say. And last time, all 4 of my IRL streams from like a couple weeks ago were from Boston. We were using Khan's phone and his data and stuff. So I'm really not sure. I would have to check with him, honestly. It's a lot. I think it's a lot for sure. And I was using my phone to like read chat and stuff. So it was great to have 2 phones.
2 phones, you say?
Yeah, 2 phones. Yeah. You can read chat and like read the alerts, and then you have the other one on you, right? Yeah.
So effectively the one phone is like the camera.
Essentially, yeah. And I think you can just use that too. Like, you can read chat on screen. That's probably what I would recommend to start. It's just really basic. Get a selfie stick. Yeah, I'm so new that I don't even feel comfortable talking about it. Like, I don't even know, right? So I don't want to give anyone the wrong information or anything. But some of my first IRL streams were just like walking through British Columbian wilderness, like on a selfie stick, and it's like in front of me, and half the time you're seeing my chin. And and it was great. It was so much fun. Just taking chat for a walk to touch some grass. Yeah.
You say you're not the right person to ask about this, but there's a lot of people out there that have never done it and are looking for these answers that you are just experiencing right now. So at least from my point of view, you're a really good person to ask about this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, because I'm also new, and I had to go through this experience. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you have any tips for people, for who are wanting to get into this?
There are apparently several amazing IRL Discords that you can join. So, bing that up, look it up, join in on some IRL streams. And
you say bing?
Yeah, bing it up. Yeah, bing it up. Ask Jeeves it up. And probably another thinger that I've done is, beyond personal outreach, is go to some IRL streams and just ! specs. Maybe you don't even have to type that in their chat. You could just scroll down and see what camera they're using, what mic they're using, what information do they have that you could use. Things like that. Yeah. Just talk with people, connect with people. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It's an important one. I think that's an important skill with streaming as well. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
It seems like you have your fingers in a lot of pies. Email correspondences, Discord community nights, stream events, monthly themes, charity, 2 partnered YouTube channels, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch. There's more. I think this question, a lot of people are going to ask people like yourself, how the hell do you juggle all those responsibilities?
Scheduling, keeping track of what I do, asking for help. I do work with quite a few people, for example, to manage my YouTube channel. to help me make promos, artwork, animations, things like that. I have an incredibly amazing, wonderful mod team that helps me with community management. I have a media manager, Kyle, who hosts movies for me every week in the Discord. It's a whole team of people that keeps things running. And I'm just so grateful. Yeah, because it is a lot. It is a lot. Also kind of deciding where to put your energy, Like I used to post to TikTok a lot, and a lot of people came over from TikTok. I actually did an experiment where I was posting 3 times a day for, I think 4 months was the experiment. I didn't skip a day. 3 times a day, 4 months, 3 or 4 months. I don't remember exactly. It was like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago at this point. And it worked really well. It was awesome. But obviously in doing that 3 times a day, you're not able to maybe focus as much on other aspects, on YouTube, on, adding more Twitch alerts or something like that. I mean, you only have so much time and you have to decide where to spend it and what's actually going to be valuable for you and have the most payoff. And so far I found that to be Twitch and Discord by far. I spend the majority of my time in the Discord when I'm not streaming. Yeah. Just that community building.
You're touching on something that I think a lot of people struggle with there is that prioritization. Mm-hmm. How do you decide where to put your energy with all of these pieces of the puzzle?
Ultimately, I love my community and I want to hang out with them. So I will go where they are and I will do things that I know that they like and appreciate. So that kind of basically means the Discord. And yeah, I mean, Twitch is my number one thing. YouTube is probably secondary. Like YouTube has been around for such a long time and we always hear that it's king, right? Like getting content out on YouTube, that everlasting content, right? Because live content it's there when you're live and then you actually have to do something with it in post-processing, right? So I think if I had to pick, like if I was super spent and I only had limited time or some other responsibility came up and I had to take care of it and I didn't have time, I would focus Twitch, Discord, and YouTube. Yeah.
Discord to me seems like an unusual one that we don't hear a lot from content creators when it comes to conventional wisdom as far as where to put your content, where to put your energy. Mm-hmm. Why is Discord work so well for you and why is it so important?
Oh my gosh. Discord is like an extension of the Twitch streams. It is my home when I'm not, I was going to say when I'm offline, but it's all online. When I'm not streaming, it's the place where it's the place where I go to hang out with my community and get to know them more personally, more like intimately, I guess, because as much as I try to do that on streams, it's not necessarily the medium that I think best lends itself to that. Like there's hundreds of people in there at any time. You're getting raids, you're getting subs, you know what I mean? Whereas like on the Discord, you can really just like go in and like get to know people, or you're hanging out together while you're watching a movie or doing something. And you're just like, that's the opportunity where you can just like take things to the next level and like strengthen those community bonds. And like, I just love it so much. Like I just do it because I love it. Like I genuinely love hanging out in the Discord. I genuinely love talking to everyone in my community. I read every single meme. I watch every single video. I have like a daily question channel. Every response that I get, I read, and I feel like I'm always learning something new about the community. Like I just love it so much. I love it so like I already can't wait to get back to Discord after this interview. I'm not kidding you. Like I'm just like, oh my God, what's going on in there? Like I'm literally so excited. Yeah.
What would you tell people who want to foster such a thriving community like yours, especially on Discord?
Ooh, do it and have fun with it and give people a reason to visit your server. Give them a reason to check the server every day. I do crosswords in my server as well. We do the New York Times together. I already mentioned the daily question channel. Add some really easy, low effort channels that people can interact with. Like I have a GIF Uno channel. It's literally Uno, but with GIFs. And it's great. There's no typing in the channel, no typing allowed. It's just GIFs. And it's like just the simplest, like lowest effort form of interaction, but you're still like fostering those connections and like engaging the community in that way. So if some people are like too busy to type or they're too shy to type, great. We have a GIF only channel just for you. Kind of type thing. So yeah.
GIF Uno. What does
GIF
that look
Uno.
like to an outsider? If I go there, what am I going to see?
Okay, so you're going to see a ton of GIFs. So basically, I mean, you can scroll and stop anywhere. So you'll see a GIF and the GIF before that, or after that, excuse me, is going to have some relation to the GIF before it. And then it just continues. It just continues. So if someone posts like a GIF of Spider-Man or something, the person underneath them will post maybe like Batman. And then the person underneath them will post maybe like an adorable fruit bat. And then suddenly we've moved from like Spider-Man to fruit bats. And it's like, as long as it has something to do with the one above it, it could be like colors, it could be themes, it could be, you know what I mean? And it's so funny to see like how people's minds work. Cause sometimes it'll go from like this to this to this. And I'm like, how did we get here? And I'm like, oh, that's really clever. They did like a very specific like callback to something that happened in this like particular scene that this GIF is from. And like, it's so great. It's like, it's very creative as well. It's very fun to scroll through. No double posting either. That's the thing. You got to post and then somebody else posts. And you have to be, you can't post twice in a row. You can't GIF Uno yourself.
So you mentioned you needed to give them something to do every day, right?
Yeah.
How important is that for being a streamer when you're not live?
When you're not live, I mean, I think because there's so much out there going on in the world. There's so much out there. Like there's so many content creators out there. There's so many streamers out there. There's so many different things to do. We're being pulled in so many different directions. And I think it's important to interact with your community that you've built every day. I really do. And I know that this is this probably ties in with a lot of things that with fears that a lot of streamers have, that if they disappear for a couple days, they disappear for a couple weeks, like their viewership is impacted. And it's like, yup, kind of. Unfortunately it is, right? Like there's always something else to go watch. There's always something else to go do. And I think that's why it's important to foster that community in the Discord, because when I have to take a week off for traveling or whatever, I'm still in the Discord posting every day with the core community. And so they know that I'm there and I'm still working on stuff, and that they can still stay subscribed to me because I'm not freaking going anywhere, kind of type thing. And I think if you do that enough, when you actually do need to very seriously like take some time away because something happens, whether it's for burnout or mental health or whatever family emergency, like when you do have to, I think that those people they'll see that you're very serious about it, and that you're going to come back when you're ready, and they're going to be there for you. And at the end of the day, if people aren't there waiting for you when you come back, like maybe they weren't your people to begin with, right? Maybe you didn't want those people anyway. Right?
So would you say that's how you develop like your core community then? Yes.
Like interacting every day and building those connections. Yeah, definitely. And I think it's so important. I don't know. I think I've heard Zach Bussey mention this, but I don't know where he got it from. He's so incredibly wise and knowledgeable. I'm sure I trust him with like everything he talks about, but I think he said something, or I remember him saying something about how important it is to just have like 100 people. Like apparently if you have just like 100 people, you can like, you can like move mountains. You can, if you need to like, if Discord dies, need to jump ship to whatever new platform comes out, or Twitch, knock on wood, something happens, you need to jump. Like if you have these core, I remember specifically hearing this like 100 people thing, like you'll be fine. Yeah, you're going to take a hit because some people aren't going to want to go over to YouTube after Twitch dies, right? Or knock on wood, geez. But diversification. But yeah, if you just have those core people, I think anything is possible. Really, I think anything is possible. It's so important to foster those connections for sure.
You mentioned Twitch dying.
Oh my God. Sorry.
So we're going to go.
I really hope it never does. Truly. But I'm also a realist. I also know that nothing lasts forever, right? But cautiously optimistic with everything I do.
What do you say to us streamers then with that in mind? We're not saying Twitch is dying, but we are saying it's possible.
Sure.
So how do we, what are our best practices? How do we avoid disaster if that were to occur?
Anything is possible. I think having a really strong Discord community, because that's going to be the place where you communicate with people. Obviously, if it were to go radio silent and suddenly everyone's accounts are gone and stuff, Discord, that's where you communicate with people, right? That's where you tell them what the next steps are, where you're going to be moving, if you're going to be moving somewhere. And diversification, build yourself up on YouTube. You can go live on YouTube. I live stream there 4 times a week. You can stream on TikTok. You can stream on Instagram. You can stream into the Discord while you're trying to figure out your next steps. Maybe you don't have a backup plan. Maybe you haven't diversified. You can stream in your Discord. Same time, same place. I would personally, if something like this were to ever happen, I would keep the same schedule. I would be like, I'm still going live. It'll just be here. It'll maybe for the week, it'll be in Discord until I figure out my stuff. And after that, we're going to be on YouTube, or we're going to be on whatever other platform kind of type thing. And I say this on stream often, but if it all ends up, hitting the fan and it all disappears, I would be trying to build connections and bring people together, like in my real life. Like I feel like I'm just that kind of person. Like I would still be like, I'd be like trying to like see who else lives in my building, who wants to hang out, who has similarities with me, who, like I'd be more, I'd be interacting with people in the elevator, and I'd be right. Like I feel like even if I didn't have a platform or a space to build and do what I'm doing now, I would still be trying to do it in person. Yeah, that's how important it is to me to just bring people together.
You said you stream 4 times a week on YouTube. Are those multi or simulcast with your Twitch?
Yes, they're multi. What are they? Multi. I guess both those words, multicasting or simulcasting or something is what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So when I go live playing games, I will, when I'm playing games on Twitch, I will go live on YouTube as well. So I currently don't stream my just chatting portions, which I should. But I don't, I think because my YouTube only has my gaming content, it doesn't have my just chatting content. I for some reason got in my head like, okay, I'm only going to stream my gaming portions, but I should absolutely just stream the whole stream. I just press a button and I end up on 2 platforms instead of 1. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
How important is it to be multicasting as a streamer?
I mean, diversification is so important, I think, for anyone to not put all of their eggs in one basket, showing that you're active on other platforms. Like there are people who I reach on YouTube who don't like Twitch, or they can't run the Twitch app on their phone or something, and they're really thankful that I'm streaming on YouTube. It's not a massive audience by any stretch. Like sometimes I'll have 3 people, sometimes I'll have 10 people, like peak viewership, like 30 or something like that. Like it's definitely like starting fresh. In a way, like we were all started on Twitch years ago to like 3 viewers, right? It takes a while to build up. It's a completely different beast, but I do think it's important. And especially if something like we've all had these instances where Twitch just isn't working one day. It's just OBS can't connect, Twitch servers are down, whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean that the show has to stop. You ping your Discord server and you say, hey guys, I'm live on YouTube. Done, right? And I think that once you already have that process in place, it's so easy to just do, instead of freaking out like day of, right?
So you're talking about how important it was to diversify, not having all your eggs in one basket,
right? With
respect to multicasting, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, etc. What about with regards to revenue sources? How do you navigate that? And what would you say is a smart way to diversify your income as a streamer?
I would recommend, what I do and what works for me. Obviously, I don't know much beyond that, but I'm able to monetize on YouTube. So I do that. I took advantage of the fact that I'm able to set up memberships. So I set up different membership tiers so people could, it's not called subscribing on YouTube. It's becoming a channel member. Subscribe is like the follow equivalent on Twitch. I also set up Discord subscriptions so that when people subscribe on Discord, they can gain access to a secret channel that has exclusive content that is also shared with tier 2 and tier 3 subscribers. And I found that to be just amazing. It's been so great. And I love that channel so much. I put so much love into this exclusive channel just to, you know, show people behind the scenes content and like sneak peeks and things like that. I really, really love it. Other than that, I've heard people talk about things like Patreon, right? I don't have one personally, but recently I've added Throne and Treat Stream, which is, it's kind of an interesting way to monetize. It's not like direct monetization, but you're still, I mean, that's all through Twitch though. See, that's the tricky part. So if Twitch goes, then yeah. Yeah, sponsors, I guess, see, that's through Twitch as well, unless you can get YouTube sponsors, right? TikTok sponsors, being paid for TikTok videos or YouTube shorts or something, that's definitely a thing. Working with brands, doing influencer marketing, things like that, yeah.
How have you made that exclusive channel in your Discord work so well?
I put a lot of time, effort, and thought into it. And because I love it and because I talk it up so much, I think people also love it. And they see how much it means to me. And the people who, it's also word of mouth. Like there are people who are in there who love it so much, who say it is amazing and it is worth it. And that will often get people interested enough to up their subscription or subscribe on Discord and kind of just see what's in there. Yeah, I don't know. It's my baby. I love it. How did I do it? I set it up and I did it. It's tricky sometimes to understand exactly what went into it, but I think just being confident about it and talking about it and really caring about it and the content that I put in it, I think it's the value is there and people see that.
Do you think it has anything to do with like authenticity?
Definitely. Yeah. Like just being your authentic self, you mean, when like advertising something or trying to get eyes on something? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people will pretty quickly see if you're just trying to sell them something, right? If you're just like, hey, there's this exclusive channel, you can subscribe, and, you know, maybe you're not really like happy about it or you're robotic about it or it doesn't seem authentic. It kind of just seems like you're trying to diversify or something like that. But for me, it's so much more than that. And diversification is just sort of a byproduct of that.
Are there any other forms of like monetization or diversification that you've considered and think you should be doing?
Definitely Patreon. Definitely Patreon. For me, it's just a matter of figuring out what exactly to put behind the tiers and working that out and making sure that A, I have time for it. B, it's something that I actually love and want to be doing, because I don't want to just kind of do something for the sake of doing it and then maybe not have it be a thing that I end up liking or I don't put a lot of time and effort into, and then people subscribe expecting something and you earn their trust, right? And then once you start to kind of just like, once you have them there and you earn their trust and then you're not really posting, you're not really showing up when you say you're going to show up, like that's just not going to be good overall. So you really got to make sure if I'm actually doing something with Patreon, then I have a solid plan with it for sure, which I've been thinking about it for this year. So it's not a fully like fleshed out idea, but when I'm ready to talk about it, I will for sure.
You've talked about this a lot tonight. Doing what you love, the things that you love doing, right?
Yeah.
We also have the conventional wisdom about this diversification of how you should probably be on these other platforms. How would you tell people to navigate these things if they don't actually love doing those other things but still want to succeed?
Yeah, it's tough. If you don't love doing what, like the YouTube shorts and the tweets and that kind of networking and
a million social media platforms.
A million social media platforms. If you don't love doing it, but you need to do it kind of type thing, offload if you can, hire if you can. If you really can't, like you can get like a social media manager or something to help you with that aspect of it. But I think at the end of the day, if you don't love it and if people don't see the authenticity behind your posts, then like you can probably tell when something's posted by like a social media manager versus like, if it's someone you work with closely, then I'm sure I don't really have any experience with this per se, but like all of my social media posts are my own. I have Shervik managing my YouTube channel, but I still like go in and review everything. Every comment is from me, right? Like every like form of engagement is from me. Mm-hmm. The videos are all me, obviously, right? But yeah, if you really don't like it and there's a risk of someone getting the sense that you're not being happy or that you're not being your authentic self or you're using some kind of a bot or a social media manager, I don't know. I almost wonder if it would be detrimental. I really don't know. It's a really good question. Yeah, I would say it's important to make sure that you love it. Maybe understand that if you don't love doing the other stuff on social media and you don't love networking or you don't love going to events or you don't love doing all of this like extra stuff that comes with being a streamer, then you might have like a bit of a harder time, probably. Like if you're only focused on Twitch and not focused on anything else. But I know plenty of people who have done or continue to do very well for themselves despite like rarely posting on any other platforms. Like before I think I only started posting on other social media platforms like 2 years ago. I got partnered on Twitch before I started posting to social media. Like I kid you not. I mean, I was on Instagram doing my like Etsy stuff, but when I actually converted my account over to Twitch, I think I had like 3 or 4 people come over and be like, yay, like I love Twitch. The rest, they're doing their own thing. They're there for the perler beads, right? They're there for the melty beads, right? But yeah, I think you're gonna maybe have a bit of a harder time, especially now when it's so like saturated. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough.
You're talking to someone who did that.
I what?
I said you're talking to someone who did that.
Who got what? Like just primarily on Twitch? Their start on Twitch? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on Twitter, right? But it doesn't really go anywhere.
Right.
So, no presence on YouTube or anywhere else until somewhat recently.
Right.
So, that actually is kind of something that I've always been curious about is how possible is that to succeed when you are just laser focused on one platform? Like, is that still doable today versus maybe not even 5 years ago?
Gosh, I really don't know. Like all of the people who I know who got their start just on Twitch have been doing this for like 8, 9, 10 years. And so it was much easier to just focus on one thing and build a community from that. And now they still have the similar success or same success to this day, despite not avidly posting on other socials. But nowadays, I really don't know. I would have to start an experiment where I like start a brand new Twitch account, start a brand new, use like a VTube model or something like that, and then just not post to social media and see how it goes. Yeah.
So in 2023, you were invited to the European Speedrunner Assembly overseas to bring your own special brand of alert chaos that we were talking about before for charitable efforts. And my understanding is it was extremely successful. What would you say to people who wish to take inspiration from your accolades to make their own impact on the world?
Oh my gosh. It's going to keep coming back to just do what you love. Just do what you love and the rest will follow. I don't know if that's the most like cliche advice ever, but I really I don't know. I don't think I'm anyone like super unbelievably special or unique or anything like that. I don't think that yeah, sure. I feel blessed and I'm in a very privileged position to be able to do all of this and stuff. But I think at the end of the day, I'm just someone who's doing what she loves. I'm putting stuff out there. I'm trying to make people laugh. I'm trying to reach as many people as possible. The ESA thing was so awesome. Yeah, they invited me to host two completely new segments called Survive the Chat. And it was basically self-explanatory from the name, I suppose. I'm trying to survive the chaos that is chat. They invited me to bring all of my alerts over. And chat was just going crazy, spamming all of the alerts. And I was trying to get through the games that I was playing. And yeah, the reason that happened was because of a tweet that went viral. And it got published in like a Dexerto article and Tech Times and whatever else. And I think that's how they found me at ESA. And they were like, this is really funny. And we want to bring this kind of chaotic energy to ESA. I think they were looking to branch out and try a few different things. And there are already challenge runs that happen on ESA. So there's already crowd control and things like that. So it was basically like a Celina branded crowd control. It was the alerts were the chaos that chat was causing. Yeah. So I don't know, keep doing stuff that makes you happy, and it's gonna click with someone eventually. Be confident about it. Take opportunities as they come up. Follow up with people. Like I met Edenal at San Diego TwitchCon in person, and that's when he first told me that he's with ESA and he saw my viral tweet and he wants to work with me and stuff, and it was great. We hit it off. I sent a follow-up after I got home. I think that was very important, maintaining that connection as well. Just keep doing what you're doing. Take opportunities.
So that all stemmed from a viral tweet.
Yes.
How do you capitalize on one of those? What would you do? What would you tell someone who they have something that went viral? What would you tell them on how to capitalize on that?
Oh my gosh. I mean, the one thing that I really had that went viral was that I've had TikToks get like, I think one of them has like 4.5 million views or something like that. But I mean, nowadays on TikTok, that doesn't feel very viral. But open yourself up to opportunities. I wonder if I would have done anything because it was my first time with that experience. I think now certainly if something else went viral, I'd maybe know how to capitalize it, or I'd maybe even think to capitalize on it because it already happened. But I mean, I didn't really do anything. I was reached out to as a result. But I think if something like that were to happen again, depending on what it was with, like if it was like a certain game or a certain product or something, then I would probably reach out to that company, or I would reach out to those developers and I would be like, look, this is me interacting with your content or your product or your game, and this is the kind of audience that it's getting. This is me. These are my socials. This is, my media kit. Just kind of see where it goes from there. Yeah, if it's someone you want to work with, obviously, some company you want to work with, but yeah.
And you met the organizer of ESA at a convention?
Yes.
You said?
Yeah, at a rooftop party in San Diego, TwitchCon in 2022, I guess. Because then, I was invited for February 2023. Yes. Yeah, so it was a few months prior to that, yeah.
So how important is it for streamers to go to conventions?
I think it's everything. I think it's so important. I think
why?
Something about the in-person connections. I don't think you can get anything. I don't know, anything more powerful, more meaningful, more valuable. Than the in-person connections. I think that when people see you, and they see that you're a person and they interact with you, they get to shake your hand, they get to hug you, whatever it is, that's when that connection is really, really formed. Because there are so many people who are accessible online, right? But if you take that extra step to go out in person, and I totally understand that not everyone can, it's expensive. But if you can take that extra step, I think it's very, very important. Yeah, I've made a lot of my connections and a lot of things. The cat walking across the screen. Sorry. a lot of things that I'm a part of now, and a lot of opportunities that I've had, and even guest speakers that I've had within my stream team. I say guest speakers, I should say one guest speaker who I interacted with, Katie Bentz, at Vegas TwitchCon. I asked if she wanted to come in and talk about voice acting within my stream team. That was all from going to a convention and making those in-person interactions. Yeah. Even people from my community who I've met in person, I feel like our connections have just been strengthened after meeting in person. Like there's just something so special about those in-person interactions that just helps solidify what you already have online. Yeah.
With conventions being this important, how would you suggest people monetize to afford them? Because they are quite expensive, as you said.
They are quite expensive, yeah. I mean, for things like PAX, you can get a media badge or a content creator pass where you can apply for it a few months prior to the event, and you can get a pass for free, essentially, to cover the whole event, to join the whole event. Otherwise, for things like hotel rooms and stuff, unless you can get a sponsor who's flying you out for an event, then I would say your best bet is starting a goal on Twitch or a Ko-fi goal or something like that, just to get that support from the community at large. Offer some kind of an incentive, like maybe, hey, this will result in a few IRL streams. Like maybe I'll stream from around Vegas, or I'll stream from San Diego, but I really need your help getting there, and I really want to go there. And be honest with people that it might open you up to opportunities, that it's a networking opportunity, and your community wants to help you. In my experience, your community wants to help you, and your community wants to see you succeed, because everyone wants to feel like they're a part of something and that they help make something happen. And so you have to give them the opportunity to do that and to help in those ways.
How do you make your community feel like they're a part of these conventions and trips that you're going to?
I take them with me everywhere, like mentally, emotionally. I keep connected constantly in the Discord. I share a lot of pictures, especially in the secrets channel, like especially in the exclusive part of my Discord. I make sure to go the extra mile by staying connected at the Discord at large, and as well, I post pics to Twitter, and yeah, IRL streams. I mean, that's a great way of bringing your community with you and thanking them for everything that they've done. Is like, hey guys, I'm literally streaming from here because of you, and look, I'm able to show you all of these really cool places because of you.
So, ESA was it's a speedrun marathon for charity.
Yes.
So how important do you feel charity work is for a streamer?
I think it's very important. I think doing charity work as a streamer is, I feel amazing about it. I know that the community does as well. Like the community wants to help, and they want to feel like they're a part of something, and they want to feel like they're making a difference, and giving them the opportunity to make a difference together is, I think, just so powerful and so special. And I love that this career, this job that I'm in, enables me to do so much charity work. I have a platform. I love using it for good when I can. And I find that it also strengthens the community ties. Like when the community sees what you're raising money for, and that they themselves are making a difference, like they just want to see more of that. They want to do more of that. Yeah. Yeah. I found it to be very successful. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Many streamers who do charity work have often noticed that in the days, weeks, and months after, that their ability to monetize has greatly diminished because the community has shown up for said charity. How do you navigate that?
I do not experience that at all. I can understand why people do it. It makes sense, right? But in my experience, people have a different budget for charity than they do. I'm going to support this streamer because I enjoy it, and this entertainment budget that people have, versus like, I want to do good and this charity budget, like it's two completely different things in people's minds, at least in my experience. Like I have not noticed that at all. If anything, I notice more support because people are just so proud and they're so excited and thankful to have been a part of something that they're like, thank you. And like the next few days after a charity, I'm like, people are just, I don't notice anything. I don't know if I'm very lucky or if it's rare for me or what, but yeah. Yeah.
Luck's another topic I've discussed.
Luck is another topic. Yeah. How important is luck? What do you think about luck? I saw your tweet. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So you don't experience these backslides after charitable work. Do you think it's because you're putting out the message in a way that's different than others? Because it is pretty common for streamers to encounter this.
Do I think I'm doing it any differently? So interesting to think about, because just at the end of the day, I'm just doing what I want to do and I'm doing what feels right. And maybe that's different. I would have to watch and interact with the other streamers who monetize and then go into a charity stream, and then I'd have to like interact with them and watch their streams after the charity stream and then essentially take notes and see, you know, is it the way that they're interacting with people? Are they saying things like, oh no, like don't give me subs or bits, like you guys gave so much yesterday, like don't worry about me? Like is it their language? Like is it just that they're not like open to receiving the support the day after because they feel guilty themselves, and so they're putting that like energy out there? Because people can see that as well and pick up on that as well, right? And gosh, I really don't know. That would actually be a really good question for my community. Like why don't you support less after a charity stream? Like how is it that you're able to just like, it's just business as usual afterwards? Yeah, I think it's because people have like different budgets. Like I certainly do. When I'm in charity mode and I'm like supporting a streamer and who's running a charity, like I'll donate X amount of money or whatever, and it doesn't impact when I go to their stream the next day. I still will gift 5 subs. I'll still cheer whatever bits. I don't think like, ooh, I just spent like $100 on this streamer. I think like I spent $100 for this charity, which I'm like really proud and happy to support. And so I don't even like, yeah. And I don't know if I've just like surrounded myself with people who have the same mentality. I'm really not sure. It's a good one to ask my community. I'm going to write that one down. Charity. I like it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, general audience's thoughts on charitable work by streamers actually are kind of polarizing at times.
Okay.
Positive thoughts generally, hey, we're doing good, just as you discussed, right? We're helping those in need or whatever it is. And then the negative thoughts would be that many would see it as just virtue signaling or pedestaling yourself. So your feelings are quite clear on this, right?
Right.
But what would you say to people who think otherwise?
Like streamers themselves who think that, or for viewers who think that? Well,
there's both. There are streamers and viewers who, and quite a lot, who see it as just virtue signaling and pedestaling yourself.
Yeah, right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. No. I was just, yeah.
Oh,
what would you say?
Okay. So if it's a streamer who thinks that, I mean, that just sounds like maybe like a negative part of your brain that's trying to, right? Like maybe you have a bit of imposter syndrome, or you're lacking that kind of self-confidence, and you're like, oh, like I'm worried that this isn't going to be perceived well or something like that. So I would just encourage people to try to not think like that, and if you're doing it for the right reasons, then you're doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the charity, for the community, and it makes you happy, and you know that your reasons are genuine and authentic. Then I don't think you need to worry about what anybody else thinks. If someone actually thinks that you're doing it just for virtue signal or whatever, then I mean, that's, as long as you know why you're doing it, whatever, right? And if anyone in the audience thinks that, then bye. not my target audience. Sorry, thank you. That's not at all what we're going for here. Ultimately, you can't stop people from thinking what they're going to think, but I don't care because that's not why I'm doing it, right?
Call back to that self-assurance and confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so funny. I've like never even thought about charity work in that way. Like I don't even, my brain just doesn't even like, I'm doing charity work because I care about this charity and I care about this cause. It's never occurred to me like, oh, I wonder if people will just see this as like, and I think it's because I'm so far away from that. Like it's literally not even in my brain. It's an interesting question. It's an interesting thing to think about. You like blew my mind for a second. I was like, there are people that actually think that. Like I'm so like happy-go-lucky and like optimistic. I'm like, I can't even deal with that.
It's one of those yearly topics that makes the rounds on social media.
Okay. Yeah. This streamer is just doing this to appease blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
All right. Yeah. I wonder if I'm just, I don't know, just scroll past those. Like, I don't even process it. As soon as there's like a word that I don't like in a tweet, I'm just like gone. Yeah.
We develop our own filters over time.
Exactly. Yeah. Block accounts or mute accounts if they're just consistently negative or something. Yeah.
You know, it actually goes to an interesting point that is purely pragmatic here, because we know why you do charity. We know why most people do charity, right? We see ourselves in a position of privilege to help.
Yeah.
Has doing charitable work ever actually led to, personal growth or business opportunities for you?
In terms of maybe doing like sponsored charity work, because I've been reached out to by companies to do sponsored charity work. Yes. I think having the opportunity to do charity work or using my platform in that way has certainly helped me feel more confident about what my career after streaming can look like. Because I have a bit of a like 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan kind of type thing. And I think something that I've always said, especially when doing charity streams, is if somehow this career path, right, maybe like Twitch is no more or whatever happens, or I'm just like, whatever with streaming, right? Like after, I don't know, decade, however long, right? Like not that I ever see myself not loving it, but like maybe just things change, like as society and as technology advances and changes and stuff like that. Like if I'm somehow in a position where I'm able to do charity work, or that's what my future looks like in like 5-10 years or something, then I could say that I have so much experience and so much success with working with charities and raising money, and I know how to hype people up and yeah, so I think it's definitely helped set me up for opportunities. Yeah. Even if they're my own that I sort of have to come to several years from now, if that's where my career leads me. It's something it's a very exciting prospect, I will say.
Do you have a favorite charity?
A favorite charity? Well, my stream team works with Hope for the Day, mental health awareness and suicide prevention. And we've worked with them this past year this past January, we just did our 3rd annual charity stream with them, Raid Train Marathon event, where we had like almost 20 members streaming all for the same charity, raising money for the same charity. And I love working with them. They're wonderful to work with. I think they are doing good things, and I'm really proud to support them. Mm-hmm.
When you do charity style content, right? Fundraisers. Do you utilize gaming or some other medium for your streams? I
do not game during charity streams. Maybe there was one that I gamed during, but I, for the most part, make the whole stream an event. So I'll have donation incentives. If you donate $5, this happens. If you donate $10, this happens. $50, this happens. There's very clear incentives, very clear milestones.
Give us some examples, if you could, that you've done in the past.
Sure, yeah. So let's see. This most recent charity event I did sort of, if you've heard of the game Gardic Phone, or Pictionary kind of type thing. I believe it was for $100 donation to Hope for the Day charity, I pulled out a card of your color, like of your choosing, so whatever color card you wanted, and then I drew whatever you wanted on it, like whatever prompt you gave me. And so some people gave me like ridiculous prompts. And then with that, I attached a random caption, like a random. So we would get like the most ridiculous. You know how there's like, I think it's oh gosh, what is that game called that you play with? It's not Gardic Phone. It's, oh man. There's like the t-shirt game where you put like a picture with a saying.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it. I know what you're talking about.
God, you know what I'm talking about, right? There's this game. People in the YouTube comments are going to let us know whatever it's called. But it was kind of that. It was kind of that. It was like put a picture with a random saying kind of type thing, and it ended up just being really comical. Another incentive that I did was, I think it was $50 to make a move in Connect 4 against me. So like I was the purple colors and chat was the red colors or whatever, the red like circles. And so yeah, chat collectively like worked together. They donating money to like make a move and Connect 4 against me, and I'm terrible at Connect 4, so it was just funny. But yeah, things like that, just immediate on the spot incentives, whether you're drawing something or making something or playing a game with them or something. Yeah.
You touched on something that I think is really important when it comes to monetization, and obviously that applies to charity because you are monetizing to raise money for charity. Instant gratification.
Yeah.
A lot of people typically, when monetizing, fundraising, whatever purpose, right? They have goals and it's like, okay, I'll play this game.
Right.
Or, okay, we'll go on this trip or whatever.
Right. It's like a milestone long term, right?
Right. Do you think it's more important to have instant gratification or milestones, or what do you think is the best strategy here, speaking in generalities, whether it's just monetizing or doing charity work?
Instant gratification, 100%. I almost think that milestones aren't important or relevant, in my opinion, in my experience, because
that might be a bit of a hot take there. Let's hear
Is it a hot take? Well, okay. Listen, I don't know. This is just my experience, but instant gratification is like, people are there, they're taking the time to donate to whatever, if we're talking about in more generally, like to gift a sub or to cheer bits or something like that. Can you imagine being like, thanks for the bits, the alert is going to play like 3 months from now?
That's a good way of framing it.
Right. And like, yeah, I do milestones all the time. Don't get me wrong. I said I don't think it's important or like as valuable, but like I still definitely do milestones because it helps me set the stage for like what the year will look like. Like I have a channel in my Discord called On the Horizon, and there's like, I have like a list that's like this long of milestones that I have to get through, and I use it to plan my next year, sometimes my next 2 years. There's an incentive from there that I haven't fulfilled. I think it's been like well over a year now, but it's on that list and people know it's coming. They know that it's at least visible. It's something that we achieved and unlocked. But also, and I think this is important to what I said about it not being important, and then you said it was a hot take, like nobody has ever been upset at me for not fulfilling a milestone or an incentive.
I've seen it.
That's why you've seen it. I don't know. That's, for me, that comes from that's, I don't know. That's an entitled, like if someone is genuinely upset at you for not fulfilling a milestone or an incentive, like at the end of the day, we can choose to do what we want to do. Like I might put out a milestone like 6 months ago. Maybe I can't do it anymore because I moved. Maybe I can't do it anymore because I just really don't feel like it, and I'm sorry, and I changed my mind. And like, yeah, it feels really bad. And obviously you want to follow through on the promises that you make your community because you build that trust and you develop that and stuff. But I think if in every other aspect you're coming through and you're showing up for your community, they're going to understand if you can't do one or two of the things every once in a while. I've definitely done that where I've had to replace milestones. Because I do think if you're promising something, I get it. You're promising something, you don't want to upset people. There will be inevitably some people who are upset. Replace it with something else, something similar. But yeah, to answer your question, instant gratification, super important. Think of how we operate, right? Like, I don't know, you put $1 in a vending machine. $1 in a vending machine. What gets you $1? What do you get for $1 nowadays? You put like $5 in a vending machine and you get like a water bottle. Can you imagine getting a water bottle? Like it'll be mailed to you in like 2 months. Like I don't know. It's I guess good things are worth waiting for, because I certainly will order things and they'll take like 6 months to get to me because they're like special order or something. But I think it's much more impactful when you can see it like right there and then. You can definitely get more like for charity if you have that instant gratification. Like I'll have people donate multiple times throughout the stream because they want another silly picture, or they want to make another move and connect 4 against me. Yeah.
What do you think is the best balance then between instant gratification and actual milestones?
The balance. I think focus on the instant gratification, focus on I think I refer to as incentives. Like there's like a current incentive, and then there's the milestones, which are like the long-term stuff. I think focus on the instant thing, the incentives, and maybe don't focus so much on putting a milestone for like every small amount. Like don't be afraid to, if you're doing charity work specifically, like don't be afraid to put a milestone for like, I don't know, I'm just spitballing numbers here, like 500, and then maybe your next one isn't until 1500. Like whatever works for you. And obviously you have to think of how your community operates and how much they normally support, and if that makes sense for you. But yeah, don't be afraid to spread them out and focus on the incentives that you can do currently that'll help get you there. Like if your goal is $5,000 and your incentives are like $50 or $100 or something like that, think of how many of those you need in order to get to that $5,000 goal. Think of how like valuable and interesting and fun they have to be in order to get to that goal, because they have to be used multiple times by various people, right? So I don't know, striking a balance between that. It all takes practice at the end of the day, and just experience and doing what works and what doesn't. And sometimes you're going to set goals and milestones and incentives and they're not going to get used and they're not going to get met. And then you just kind of know for next time, right? You iterate, you adjust, you don't feel bad about it.
So do you start with the instant gratification rewards and then build milestones from that?
If I'm starting a charity stream,
or any kind of event, charity or not, where you have some kind of goal you want to reach.
If I have some kind of goal I want to reach, I focus primarily on how the donations throughout the stream can help get me there. So I focus pretty much exclusively on the incentives, the instant gratification. And then once I have a game plan where I'm like, yeah, this is a really good $100 for this thing. This is really, really cool. And I think I'm going to get there. That's when I start setting the milestones. And I'm like, okay, like what do I reasonably think I can get? And how many of these do I need to get until we get to the first milestone, which is 500. And then the next milestone, which is, whatever, like 1500 or 1337, a random fun number, right? Leet. Just organizing your goals in funny, memey ways. Yeah, that might resonate with the community.
Do you think this method can work with streamers/communities of any size?
I mean, if you have like 3 people watching, that's tough. I think it's still important to focus on the instant gratification part. You might have to make your goal be more humble if you only have like 3-5 viewers and you know that maybe monetization isn't too strong on your channel in general. But once again, from my perspective, from my experience, sorry, people really do treat charity different than they treat like an entertainment budget, I will say. Like they have a charity budget and an entertainment budget. Yeah. And of any size, like on the opposite scale of that, sorry, you were about to say something, but on the opposite scale of that, if you have like 5,000-10,000 people, then the instant gratification stuff, you probably have to figure out a way to automate it. Because if you have like those constant donations coming in, you got to figure out a way to automate it, or come up with something that doesn't take a long period of time, because it'll take me like an entire stream to get through some of the incentives during my charity streams. And if I had like 3 times as many people, the stream would be like 15 hours long. So I don't necessarily think it's scalable, but I think if there's some automation behind it, like maybe every donation adds something automatically to the screen, an emote, a picture, an alert, maybe a tree grows. Maybe you work with a programmer to like, have a tree sprout a leaf with their name on it. And that just happens automatically and you don't have to think about it, kind of type thing. In those cases, I think maybe like in those large streams, maybe milestones would work better. I really don't know. I can only speak on my 200 viewer average kind of type thing.
When does automation become necessary for things like that?
I started automating when I got around like 30 or 40 viewers. Yeah, I used to do a lot of stuff manually, and I think around maybe 30, 40 viewers, I started having to put things behind bits instead of channel points. So you do have to decide to paywall things eventually and automate it, because you just can't keep up. I would have like multiple and put cooldowns on things too. Like channel points used to not have any cooldowns with like redemptions and whatnot, like putting those systems in place. I think you have to think about it pretty early on, especially if you want to monetize and get more support from the community. I think that's it's difficult to scale if it's all manual.
What kinds of automations have you used on your channel successfully?
I mean, the alerts are all automated, right? Gosh, there's like my ice command, ! ice. You come into chat and you check the thickness of ice that you exist on for the duration of the stream. Because the joke within my channel is like, you're on thin ice. You're on thin ice. Like you're gonna be out of here in a second, right? So if you ! ice, you can come in and you can check whether you're on, 2 inches of ice or 11 inches of ice or whatever. And the cool automation thing behind that is if you're not satisfied with your ice, you can cheer bits to change it. So you can cheer 299 bits to trigger a Zamboni animation that goes across the screen. And it's Zamboni's your ice, very Canadian, very, leans into the brand, right? And then it automatically gets updated, right? Like that's automation in a way, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong. You can also attack someone else's ice. You can cheer 999 bits and then at a person, like tag a person's name, and you can sabotage someone's ice if you are jealous of the thickness of the ice that they exist on and you want them to be swimming with you in the cold water. Oh gosh, my snapshot redemption for 300 bits, you take a picture, that automatically gets saved on a folder in my folder on my desktop, or my computer. Everything's saved on my desktop. No, I'm not one of those people. Okay, maybe I am one of those people, but it gets saved somewhere and then I upload it into the Discord.
Sounds like you got quite a lot.
I do have quite a lot. Yeah, even like Chatlibs, I would say. Chatlibs I used to do manually. It's a Twitch extension that I produced and OMG developed and Link designed, all people within my community. I used to do that manually. I used to have, if you cheer a certain amount of bits, I'll ask you for a word. I'll be like, give me a verb or an adverb or a noun or a body part, and I'll fill it in this blank. And then once all the blanks are filled, I read the story, right? I used to do that manually. I decided to reach out and have an extension made, right? Like I think I'm always trying to think of automation and how to make things more scalable and things like that. Yeah, I think it's very prevalent in my streams.
Do you think that having all these levels of automation has helped your creativity and ability to monetize?
Definitely. Doing things manually is really slow and can be clunky, and there's room for error. And there's that instant gratification that we talked about. If you're doing it manually, there's something really special about it. Like a callback to the pictures that I was drawing during the charity stream, the Gardic phone kind of type thing. Like that in some aspects, I think the manual aspect of things can be nice and it feels personal and things like that. But in other instances, I think it's important to have things just automatically happen. Yeah.
Monetization seems to be one of your strongest suits, and it's arguably one of the things you're well known for.
Thank you.
What would you tell people who struggle with that or are maybe new to streaming and don't understand it yet? What advice would you give to those beginners?
People who struggle with it versus advice to beginners. I think I'll start with the advice to beginners one is sort of start to try to develop that culture early on. Like I started with channel point redemptions that I was fulfilling manually. And so there was that heavy interaction and engagement really early on. And in terms of people who struggle with it, gosh, you're valuable. The content that you put out there is valuable. Don't be afraid to put stuff behind a paywall. Don't feel bad about having goals. Remove things from your vocabulary that sound anything like, oh, but you guys don't have to. And like, oh, like, no, you just focus. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about the goal, like take care of yourself, and oh, there's no pressure and things like that. Like really start speaking from a place where you are lifting yourself up and where you're showing your value. And of course, if your streams are actually funny and good and interesting and valuable, then that's definitely much easier. But just I think building that confidence, and even in the way that you speak and you present things, I think could go a long way. And just don't feel bad about paywalling stuff. Like, you took the time to create a thing. Maybe you worked with an artist that costs you money. You commissioned someone, you commissioned an animator, whatever it was, a subscription to story blocks or whatever, that all costs money, and your time is worth money. And don't be afraid to monetize, and don't take the opportunity away from your community to support you. Like, give it to them, right? Have it there as an option. And if they don't use it, then I don't know, iterate on it, change it, maybe try to get some feedback, maybe just keep doing something else and see what works, keep pushing it. If it's something that you're very excited by, I found that to be something that works for me as well. Like, if it's something that I like love and I'm just like laughing about so hard, like Duke Donut said this a lot during our front page feature with Ash Said Hi, right? Like, he was just like, at the end of the day, if something like makes me laugh and just gets a reaction out of me, that's what people love. That's what people love. So make sure it's something that you love and that gets a reaction out of you. And I think people will use it. Yeah. And you're going to make mistakes, and it's going to be okay. You're going to price things incorrectly. It's going to be okay. Sometimes they're going to be too cheap. Sometimes they're going to be too expensive, and it's not going to get used. And you just iterate, you make changes. Don't be afraid to fail.
You touched on something I think is really important there. Removing the negative talk there. Yeah. Negative talk, negative self-talk. Was that ever an issue for you in the past?
Yeah, I definitely think it was. I definitely think that I used to have much more self-deprecating humor, or I would put myself down in a lot of situations. And self-esteem was something that I definitely struggled with. Yeah, so I totally get it. I completely get people having a difficult time lifting themselves up, whether they don't believe in themselves, they've never had someone believe in themselves, whatever it is, right? Like, I can totally relate. But I think it's just surrounding yourself with the right people, realizing your worth and your value, and that it's okay to take up space and that you matter, and it's okay to try to make a living on Twitch. It's a perfectly suitable and perfect, wonderful thing if you can make it work, right? Like, don't be afraid to do it. Yeah.
You're one of the only people who have ever said that to me. They believe in you, kind of thing. So I personally understand the impact that can have, because that certainly changed my mentality a lot. What would you say to people who are struggling with those self-esteem and negative self-talk issues? You said you had it before. How did you navigate out of that, and how could you help others do the same?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that had an impact on you. That's very good to hear. That's what I hope to accomplish with like streaming and providing those spaces and lifting people up, and maybe offering different perspectives and stuff that people don't think about. What did I say before? I said, surround yourself with the type of people who will lift you up. And if you are surrounded by people who maybe they're always bringing you down, or they're bringing themselves down, or something like that, realize how that's impacting you and try to make changes about it. I mean, therapy, self-help books, things like that. I'm trying to think of like things that helped me, talking it out to the right people, making sure you have the right support systems in place, getting away from toxic environments, right? Like if you notice that you're always feeling bad when you're doing something or you're around a certain person or a group of people or something, then just recognizing that and trying to make changes. But I know it's hard. I know it's hard. We're like creatures of habits and we hate change and we love what's familiar and everything. So yeah, it's tough. Don't be hard on yourself either. Sometimes you're going to take like one step forward and then 10 steps back, but that step forward is still a step forward.
All right, let's circle back to a little bit more about you and get a little deeper here.
Okay.
We've often seen that highly successful people often have specific habits or things that they do. What are your daily habits that you have that you think help guide you?
It's a really interesting question because, like I've said before, I don't think I'm a particularly like exceptional individual in terms of like, you know, I wake up at 5 a.m. and I go to the gym and then I have my green smoothie and then I just like meditate and I say all of these positive mantras and then I kind of go about my life. Like, I swear to God, sometimes I'm just like stumbling through, kind of just putting one foot in front of the other. I think a lot of it comes down to having a schedule. Like a schedule is definitely something that helps keep me on track. I think it helps me. It helps me in my success, keeps me accountable. Because especially when you're self-employed, I really think that you need that. If you don't have that schedule, I think it's very easy to just, you know, I don't know, focus on the wrong things or kind of forget what your goals are. Having a schedule, and I think a lot of it just has to do with my mentality. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to make mistakes.
You found one of them.
What's that?
The lack of fear of failure.
The lack of fear of failure. You think that that's like part of the success?
That's usually one of the most common features found in the most successful people.
I just don't. I've heard a quote similar to that before. I don't remember where I heard it or who said it, but it was something like, some of the most successful people that I've ever met in my life are people who have just like sloppily thrown themselves into things. Mm-hmm. Just like
failed at 99% of everything they've done.
Yeah, right. To get to that 1% or that, you know, whatever you wanted to get to. Like, yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I think it's just my mentality. I don't go in with the expectation that anything is going to work out, that anything is going to succeed. Obviously, you have hopes, right? You put a lot of time and energy and love into a thing, and you're like, wow, I really hope that I can correctly convey how much this means to me, and so that people can really truly see how much this means to me. But sometimes it just doesn't end up working. Sometimes the audience isn't there, or it's not well received or something. And I don't know. I just oh, sorry, I punched the microphone.
Sorry, it didn't come through.
I don't know. I brush it off. I pick myself up. I brush it off. I talk to the right people, and I move on. Yeah, I learn from it. Yeah.
When you stream video games,
yes,
has one of them ever touched you in a way that it made you better or a different person?
Better or a different person? I think there are some games that have certainly taught me patience. I mean, I'd like to think I'm a pretty patient person, but there are definitely some games that have taught me or have helped me hone my patience and my tenacity, my perseverance. People always tell me that they admire how I'm able to just like do the same thing over and over and over and over again. And like, I don't have any kind of a negative or bad reaction, or I'm not ragey or frustrated or anything. Like, yeah, sure, I'll get a little huffy and, but I'll just keep doing it. Like, I'll never throw a controller. I'll never rage quit. It's just not in my blood. It's just not in my blood. So yeah, I mean, certainly like Soulsborne games or freaking Jump King or Getting Over It. Like, man, you get high enough and then you fall down and you're like, this is life. This is literally life. Yeah. Thinking about some games that touched me, I mentioned it earlier, probably like Detroit Become Human. Mm-hmm. Just like, I don't know, it's like a...
What kind of emotion did it give you?
Oh my God, I cried. It was beautiful. It was just, it made me feel sad. It made me feel hopeful. It made me feel scared. Yeah. I don't know. There's probably a few other games if I just like look back on my list of games that I played where I'm like, yeah, this one had a really big impact. But those are the few that come to mind, the ones that have helped me hone my patience and tenacity, and then the ones that make me feel things, right? Like, deep, real emotions. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you think games have a potential to bring positive change in people?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think it's like sitting down with a good book. And we never really give people a hard time for reading too much, but we give people a hard time for gaming too much. And I really don't get it. Maybe it's because I'm not an avid reader or anything like that, but you're choosing to absorb yourself in a kind of world, in a kind of reality. And I think that both are valid and both can teach you things and both can really change your world and your perspective. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
If you could talk to Celina from 5 years ago.
Ooh. What year is it? I literally looked over at the year. I was like, wait, what year is it? Sorry, go ahead.
3 bits of knowledge. Celina from 2019. What would you say?
Oh my gosh, 3 bits of knowledge. What was I doing in 2019? It was right before COVID, right?
Yeah.
Three bits of knowledge. Something about not being afraid of taking risks. Kind of trust myself sooner, because I quit my job to stream, and that was very, very scary. But I remember at the time, like, I think it was a mix. It was like scary, but it was also something that I really, really wanted to do, but maybe I didn't get to that until like later in 2020. So if I could go back in 2019, I would be like, there's this thing that you're going to do and it's going to be great. Don't worry about it. It's going to turn out. Don't be so hard on yourself. God. Yeah. Start taking Twitch seriously sooner, because this is really going to turn into something special. And don't for a second underestimate the impact of community connections, is what I would tell her. Community is very important. Yeah.
What would child Celina think of what you're doing right now?
Oh my God, she would be blown away. I'm sure she would be like, what? First of all, what even the heck is streaming? Like, right. What even? I remember like, like it's just like trying to explain it to child Celina that I'm like on the TV, basically on a TV that you can interact with. Child Celina was very shy and very timid. I think that she would be very, very surprised and excited. I think she would be like, oh, good. We're not always like this. We eventually like get out of our shell and we eventually like find our footing and learn about ourselves. I think she would be, I think she'd be really proud. Mm-hmm.
What do you think that says about you? What does that make you think about yourself now?
It makes me realize how much, I mean, not just like this comment specifically, I think I've already realized it, but it makes me feel more confident that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing with my time. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it.
What do you want the future to say about you?
Like people who talk about me in the future, or what do I want my future to hold? I look forward to establishing myself more, doing more outreach, doing more charity work, getting involved in more events. I would love for the future to be like, hey, here's Celina. She kind of does whatever the hell she wants as long as it makes her happy, and like it's just like, wow, it's really worked out for her. Like obviously that's my hope, right? Like because I want to do it all. I love the variety gaming that I've done. I love IRL streaming. I love events. Going out, meeting people, networking, going to conventions, things like that. If I could all just make it work together and be recognized for it on a larger scale, that would be really, really cool. Yeah.
That's one of the most common words you've used during this. Love.
Love.
What is that to you?
It's a feeling. It's butterflies. It's shortness of breath, like right here in the chest. It's like lightheadedness. It's an excitement. It's an optimism. Like it's just, and I feel it so much when I'm streaming or I'm hanging out with the community or we're watching movies or we're doing whatever the hell it is we're doing. Like I just get filled with such like excitement and passion, and I'll have these moments on stream sometimes where I'm just like, I just love what I do so much. And I'll just like, I don't even care what I'm doing. I'll just stop what I'm doing. And I'm just like, guys, like I love this. I love this. And thank you for being here and enabling me to do what I'm doing, supporting me in doing what I'm doing. Yeah. Yeah, it's a big part of my vocabulary for sure. Yeah, I do love a lot. Mm-hmm.